Welcome back. This is South Africa Tonight, where there's been worldwide condemnation after Hamas had entered Israel and took hostages. As the media continues to show images of women and children being killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, there seems to be also a shift in the world's opinion of the war. Now, does this mean that the media is still a powerful tool that sets the national and international agenda? To discuss this even further, we're joined now by Tshwane University of Technology Journalism lecturer Tshamano Makhadi, joining me, of course, this evening. Tshamano Makhadi, thank you so much for your time, and a very good evening to you. And I think this is quite an important conversation because the role of the media here cannot be, denied. For those who are not in Gaza right now, witnessing what's happening, do rely on media to update on what is happening. The question is that information always credible? Does the media now hold the power to set the national and international agenda?
Thank you so much, Dumelo. Good evening to you and the viewers. Indeed, the media plays an important role in the dissemination of information. But over time, we have seen significant changes brought up by some of the changes that we see within the space. Today, we talk of digital media, we talk of social media, which also play a very important role, probably the way in which people used to consume news 5-10 years ago. It has sort of changed to a large extent. But the reality is that media continues to play a very significant role in informing people, giving them updates as to what is happening in and around them.
Yeah. Let's also touch on the media economics here for a moment, Tshamano, and touch on what role they also play in shifting and influencing perceptions. I mean, we know that the world over, it seems in as far as some global media is concerned, the opinion may have been more sympathetic towards Israel. And then you also have another, section of the media that may be shifting influence to be sympathetic more to Palestine. Take me through the economics of media and how they also overall, from a high level going down, influence how we consume our news.
No, there can be no doubt, with the economics. There can be no doubt with the influence of the media, depending on who you are, where you are based. And I mean, if I were to just give a simple practical example, if you tune into the BBC or Sky News today, the story that you're going to find is going to be very different compared to Al Jazeera. The narrative, how that story is going to be framed. We have seen, for example, people making also some kind of I would say complaints where a reporter might have referred to another group or maybe people in Palestine having died, or those in Israel having been killed. But also it is also in the choice of words, which those that bears the responsibility to tell those stories they choose. So I really must say, yes, this story has been told differently. My observation here in South Africa, perhaps maybe we have not told that story in the manner in which others have done, but it's really quite a complex one based on my observation.
Yeah. You mentioned early on as well, the issue around social media, technology, digitization, or the digital media and the digitization of our news as a whole. And I just wonder, how complicated does then social media add to this whole, fury, or does it actually help in terms of the chaos and disseminating what's fake and what's not? In your view, what's the role of social media? What's the role of citizen journalism? And also news now being disseminated really by anyone with a cell phone or a smartphone on the internet.
To a certain extent, it can help. But this is the time where journalists need to be very careful, extra cautious, on how they report some of these stories. Verification of information. We have seen a lot of false, information being distributed. So, and I would always encourage that we go back to the basics, really. The ways in which we have always known stories to be told. So in the days of social media, it doesn't help at all. And if you were to just go with the flow, you are most likely going to find yourself so much in trouble where you have used wrong information, something which is not verified. No matter how pressed you are with time, which is always an issue with journalists, but it is always important that every piece of information is verified, especially in the context of where we stand with Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, just my last question to you as well, Tshamano. Will history judge us? Will history judge the media practitioners in how they tell stories and in how they are credible in telling authentic stories such as what we're seeing between Israel and Palestine? Because if this is information that future generations are going to read about, their views may be shifted or perhaps distorted based on how the story was narrated before their time, before they were alive. What's your opinion on how history will judge the media?
Dumelo, those in the know will tell you history has no blank pages. So history will tell a story about the story we are telling today. And it is always important that in the way in which this story is told, anyone who bears that responsibility, they do their utmost in telling the story as fairly as they can. I mean, you have a situation where human lives are at risk every minute, every second. I mean, with what we have seen, particularly yesterday, how do you tell that story? And I do think that the responsibility really lies with the media, because you have a way in which you project a particular a situation. Like what we have, seen with the two nations. So, indeed, history has a way of telling stories about us, no matter how much it might take.
Absolutely. And of course, we cannot, forget to emphasize that it's human beings' lives here at risk, Tshamano. At the end of the day, it's not about clickbait or about having the most views, but ensuring that the integrity and dignity of those lives continues to be preserved by the media. So thank you so much for having this important conversation with me, Tshamano Makhadi, Senior Journalism Lecturer at TUT. This, of course, in the midst of how journalism plays quite a key role when, of course, narrating what's happening, that war between Gaza and Israel. But of course, we understand that, of course, it's still ongoing, and there are many platforms, of course, that are narrating different stories. One may be seen as more sympathetic to Israel, others seen to be sympathetic to Palestine. At the end of the day, it's the authentic, credible news source that needs to be encouraged for humankind, of course, to understand what really is happening on the ground.